We think that this was totally unwarranted. Going into Syria to kill a whole family, a father and 3 of his sons, and another family, a husband and wife, is really a terrorist act. However, why did this happen now? The United States of America came out with a long series of lies to justify its invasion and occupation of Iraq. What is happening right now on the domestic scene here in the United States, criticism have been leveled against the U.S. administration for its mishandling of the whole so-called war on terrorism, sending troops to Iraq when Iraq was never a terrorist threat against the United States, while ignoring the fact that Al-Qaeda is prospering and thriving in Afghanistan. This has embarrassed this administration a lot, and suddenly, out of the blue, they decide to escalate the tension in our region and to divert attentions to Iraq, claiming that, look, there are problems in Iraq, we need to be there, we need to attack the neighboring countries of Iraq, it's such a volatile situation there. It's a purely election-related domestic political issue here in the United States. But what a terrible price, innocent people being killed so that this administration can justify its actions on a political level in an election time.
All right, you know, if you can stay right there, Mr. Ambassador, Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, a former U.S. Army, is with us right now. Bob McGinnis, everyone knows, all the intelligence points to foreign fighters coming across the border from Syria into Iraq, being behind suicide bombings, but doesn't the ambassador have a point? Those bombings are on the downturn. Why now?
The suicide bombers that have come into Iraq, killing thousands of Iraqis, have come through Syria. Why this particular incident? I'm sure that there was very specific intelligence that caused the action. Now, keep in mind, though, Jim, that there's a 370-mile border there that unfortunately the Syrians haven't controlled like the Jordanians and the Saudis and others. It's a no man's land, and we're trying to stop these rat lines. The political part here, though, there is a political part, though, Jim, and I think it has to do with Baghdad more than Washington, because Baghdad's trying to take over their own country, and we're trying to help them do that.
All right. You know, Colonel McGinnis, there's also a problem that now the Iraqis are saying, you're using our soil, you're launching these attacks. Hey, this forces agreement that we're trying to come to just got a lot more complicated. Do you think to wait until now when suicide attacks are down in Iraq was proper? I mean, this appears to be long overdue, maybe even too late.
Well, it certainly raises a number of questions, and we've yet to hear the other side. We haven't heard from the U.S. forces. I know General Kelly, who is the general in charge of that particular area, has said, look, it's an uncontrolled border. Yes, the numbers of violent incidents are down, the number of suicide bombers coming across, but what we would like to do is stabilize the country so we can, the United States and the coalition, can pull out of there and allow the Iraqis to run their own country. They need the Syrians to cooperate a lot more, as well as the Iranians and others.
All right, Imad Mustafa, as Syria's ambassador to Washington, I'm going to give you the final word here, Mr. Ambassador. As you look at the situation, it is a time, isn't it, to end these cross-border movements of these people. Is Syria powerless here? Or is it in the interest of Syria, really, to stop these, to work together with the Iraqi government as it takes over its own affairs?
This is extraordinary. Your audience are supposed to know the following. I hope they will know this. Contrary to what this gentleman has just said, Syria and Iraq were cooperating, particularly in the last 2 years, on trying to secure these borders. Syria has never, ever allowed willingly and knowingly terrorists to penetrate those borders and to go and to kill any human being in Iraq. Having said this, it's so important to know that every Iraqi official, the president, the prime minister, the foreign minister, only last week, the Minister of Interior have always said time and again that they will never allow U.S. troops to use Iraq as a basis for an attack on a neighboring country. This will only destabilize Iraq and weaken the Iraqi government. Most importantly, sir, is the following fact. Only next week, we were planning to have an Iraqi-Syrian Security Committee meeting, and the Iraqis were planning to invite U.S. military and security officials to attend as observers. This unfortunate attack has totally undermined the Iraqi efforts to try to build security and cooperation agreements with their neighbors.